in Kansas City. Costa Rica is in town to take on the United States in their final stateside preparation match before heading off to Brazil. Carly Lloyd expected to be in the starting lineup, the U.S. superstar. The fans are ready. The United States taking on Costa Rica, the U.S. then heading off to the Olympics. Tonight, the United States taking on Costa Rica. The U.S. taking on Costa Rica here, and they are very, very close now to heading off to the Olympics in Rio. And welcome in, everybody. Glenn Davis alongside me. She's Julie Foudy. And Julie, let's talk a little bit about Jill Ellis's roster here. Certainly it's one that has experience. It has youth as well. It is one, though, that also tonight will look to gain something out of this game against Costa Rica.
And one of the things that you're going to see tonight is that 4-2-3-1 they've been going with. They've been very successful with, of course. They've only had 4 goals scored on them this entire year. Hope Solo in net, and that back 4 stays the same. And in the midfield, here's the question marks because they have some injuries. Morgan Bryan's still out with an injury. Tobin Heath still nursing an injury. Ali Long coming in and Pugh up front. And then, of course, leading the line for the United States will be Alex Morgan. So a familiar and confident lineup for the United States, minus a few injuries, of course.
All right, let's take a look at the Continental Tire Analyst Corner here. You're going to focus on the youth that are out wide here tonight.
And this is an area that they have had such success in. When they can get the ball to Crystal Dunn, in her first tournament, she was one who missed out on the World Cup, and now she's coming into her first major tournament. They have great success. The other one that we're looking to get involved, Mallory Pugh. Here's an 18-year-old that, with little experience, plays as if she has ice in her veins. And this is a player that's going to be so fun to watch. Look for her to get wide, get in behind, and find people on the other side.
Monica Gonzalez caught up with the U.S. manager, Jill Ellis.
Jill, what are you looking for in this last preparation match before the Olympics?
Well, just a good feeling leaving the game, ultimately. You know, coming out of here, hopefully everybody healthy. Just finding the back of the net a few times would be great. And just overall, I mean, this is a game where you're just kind of getting through it, and then you're obviously getting prepared down for Brazil.
The fact that it's going to be over 100 degrees when the game starts, is that a blessing or a burden?
Well, from my perspective, it will be a burden on the bench. But no, I think it's, we've talked a lot about dealing with the temperatures down in Brazil. And I think this is probably going to be higher than that. So, I think tonight my plan is to get a lot of players on there for not just the physical purposes, but obviously to give every player an opportunity to get out there and get a run around.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
Jill Ellis tonight looking for her 50th win as a manager of the U.S. The stars are out. Hope Solo, Carly Lloyd and company. First kick is coming up next from Children's Mercy Park in Kansas City. We welcome you back to Children's Mercy Park in Kansas City, Kansas. The intimacy of the walkout here in the tunnel from the United States as they get to take on Costa Rica. 12 days from now, they will take on New Zealand in their opener in Brazil. Wonderful opportunity for the 4-time gold medal winners to get in some extra work here ahead of the Olympics in Brazil. And Julie, of course, tonight, the perfect opportunity against an opponent they're familiar with.
Yeah, and really an opportunity to just fine-tune things and make sure that you're polished, you're taking care of the little details, and really you're walking away from this game, 1, healthy, but 2, confident, of course, going into that Olympic run.
Fans are out in full force here. The U.S. 13-0 all-time against Costa Rica.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise
anthem.
and remove your hats for the playing of the national anthem of Costa Rica. gentlemen, please remain standing and welcome country music's newest sensation, Sweetie High recording artist, 12-year-old Tegan Marie, to sing the Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rockets rang glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
How about that from 12-year-old Tegan Marie? What a rendition of the national anthem. Costa Rica, well, this is a team that the United States are 13-0 all time against. And the United States will go up against Amelia Valverde. She was appointed in January 2015. She took the team in the World Cup in Canada. And here is the Costa Rica lineup here today.
They're going with that 4-5-1. Two players to look out for. Shirley Cruz, number 10, right in the middle of the park. Their captain, their veteran, their leader, plays for PSG over in Paris. Just a great player. And up top, number 11, Raquel Rodriguez, won a national title with Penn State last year and in the NWSL for the Sky Blue FC.
Jill Ellis is 49 years of age, the 2015 FIFA Women's World Coach of the Year. Take a look at that record, and today she's got a nice blend of youth and experience, Julie.
And again, this is a lineup we're familiar with in that 4-2-3-1. Allie Long still anchoring that middle with Morgan Bryan out with another hamstring injury. Tobin Heath fighting back for another injury, so Pugh gets to start on the left side, Dunn on the right. Look for those two to push forward and help into almost a 4-3-3 with, of course, Alex Morgan up front for the United States.
Expecting a moment of silence here for Kansas City police officer Captain Dave Melton, who was killed this past Tuesday in the line of duty. Kansas City area has had 2 deaths with the police force.
Ladies and gentlemen,
in the last
please
2
join
months.
us for a moment of silence honoring the life of Captain Robert Dave Melton of the KCK Police Department, who tragically lost his life in the line of duty earlier this week. Thank you.
Incredibly somber moment that overshadows a soccer game. U.S. and Costa Rica now getting set to get things going. Good look at Carly Lloyd. 6 Olympic goals. She'll try to add to that. She is wearing the captain's armband here tonight, the U.S. in the navy blue. Of course, the United States in Group G will take on New Zealand in Belo Horizonte, and France, and then Colombia. They'll go to Manaus. 3 differing teams with 3 differing styles of play,
with that
Julie.
tighter groups, you only have 12 at the Olympics. There's no easy game in that. Colombia's one they've played quite a bit this year. They're more familiar with that, but that's not even an easy game. So U.S. knows that going in, of course. Small margins of error.
Game on here in Kansas City. Your referee, Katja Koroleva from the United States. Costa Rica in the white. And an opportunity for them to gain valuable experience here against the #1 team in the world. Going all the way back to the goalkeeper here is Fabiola Villalobos. Goalkeeper is Dinia Diaz. Direct ball knocked forward, and that's a player to keep an eye on. Number 11, Raquel Rodriguez for Las Ticas. Hope Solo just picked her 100th shutout up against South Africa. Sauerbrunn now, who plays locally here for FC Kansas City. And we've analyzed it up and down what the U.S. wants to get out of this one, Julie, and of course being injury-free is another thing here tonight.
Yeah, and a good start, her first one for Carly Lloyd after being out 3 months with that knee strain. She knows she needs to get some minutes under her belt.
Ball lobbed forward here. Granados in the box. And coming back is Crystal Dunn. And what a story Crystal Dunn has been. She was the first player brought in after the U.S. won the World Cup in Canada, and we saw her blossom game after game, Julie.
And she's talked openly about how that was the biggest wake-up call for her, not making that roster for the World Cup, being the last one left off it. And you got to love the response. She ends up being the MVP of the league, scoring the most goals.
Mallory Pugh racing and slaloming through players. Great ball into the box. Morgan can't get there. Sliding tackle to break things up for Costa Rica. But Mallory Pugh loves to run at people.
And this is a great early look of what Pugh brings to this team. She brings pace. She brings this confidence. This is an 18-year-old taking on, if she can get down those flanks, she creates such chaos for teams.
U.S. off the corner. Goes to the far post. Obviously, Julie Johnston is a great target, as well as Carly Lloyd. Lindsay Horan was in there as well. And still is some injury concerns around the U.S. Tobin Heath, Morgan Bryan with hamstrings. Obviously, Carly Lloyd coming back, and also Megan Rapinoe, who is not dressed here tonight, Julie.
I would say the 2 biggest concerns for the United States, and mind you, this is a team oozing with talent, so make that relative to everyone else. But you have the injuries, as you mentioned. Rapinoe just coming back from that knee surgery. You have Lloyd just coming back. Morgan Bryan, unfortunately, hurting that other hamstring. She's had a tough year of injury. And Tobin Heath.
Good look at Megan Rapinoe in a box very close to our vantage point here in the commentator's position.
And you know, it's not a coincidence, Glenn, that it coincides with the fact that these players are tired. They've been playing in the league. They won a World Cup. They had a 10-game victory tour. They've been doing promotional stuff. They're logging a lot of miles. So it's understandable. The question is, can they get fresh again and geared up, which I think is a no-brainer, of course. But it's one that's playing on the mind of Jill Ellis. She talks about it a lot, worried a little bit about that fatigue with the players and some of those little nagging injuries.
The U.S. trained last night. They had 9 days off to address that fatigue issue from Jill Ellis. course, they're 12 days away from their opener against New Zealand. Becky Sauerbrunn now. Morin is going to fight her way out of there. O'Hara to Dunn. Johnston now. Johnston will get the tackle in, but Costa Rica is going to get a free kick here 5 minutes in.
And mind you, this is a very different Costa Rican team that they played than what they played in the Victory Tour when they won 8-0, 7-2. They didn't have Raquel Rodriguez, number 11, up front, Herman Trophy Award winner. They didn't have Shirley Cruz in those games. They didn't have some of their key players. And this is a team that's been training for the last month together.
Amelia Valverde up off the bench for Las Ticas. It's driven towards Rodriguez. It's headed down by Mallory Pugh. Second ball is picked up by Costa Rica, easily handled by Hope Solo, who gets a huge cheer here in Kansas City. Hope Solo has shut out 29 different countries on the way to 100 clean sheets. Pretty remarkable statistics. And remarkably, Hope Solo in 2004 was an alternate on the Olympic team. Here's Klingenberg now. Tackled away by Herrera. Costa Rica has a number of players playing abroad. This one's picked off at the top of the box. Maybe a chance for the U.S. Dunn is going to try to get there, and it's cleared. Ali Long gets it wide. And here's Long again now. 10th appearance for her tonight. Beautifully weighted pass. Crystal Dunn, shot off the crossbar. What a hit from Dunn, who was put in beautifully.
That whole sequence starts with Kelly O'Hara, the right back for the United States, stepping up, pressing as soon as they lost the ball. That's one thing the U.S. team talks about a lot. Can they be aggressive in transition? Because when they win balls in the attacking third, you can see what happens.
Here's Lloyd now. He's thinking about that right foot, cleared by Costa Rica. Again, Carly Lloyd coming back from injury. Jill Ellis telling us that she's fresh, and this is a blessing in disguise. And we all know how big of a big moment player Carly Lloyd is, having scored already in 2 gold medal games plus in a World Cup final.
Yeah, Jill said a lot of the team has looked very leggy, understandably so, and Carly is as fresh as can be. Here she is getting to the corner flag to prove it.
Speaking of fresh, and right on cue, here's Lloyd to the end line towards the near post, trying to just flick it on. Was the run of Morgan, but that's the combination you're hoping to see at the Olympics in Brazil.
And again, another ball won by an outside back pressing on that transition.
Long. Dunn has come into the interior midfield. She'll knock it wide. Widening the game out is O'Hara now. Dunn off the turn. Costa Rica looking up, a few targets forward, only Rodriguez. High pressing from O'Hara, wins it back. Beautiful read defensively from her. And she stands on it now. Johnston pushing high is O'Hara. It's a beautifully weighted pass, onside, and just the touch too long. The mobility of Alex Morgan on display here early, 9 minutes in.
What a nice ball this is by O'Hara. And Ellis has tasked these backs with setting play more. Just bends it in behind. Morgan noticing that flat back line for Costa Rica, having success getting in, just technically couldn't finish it. Right idea, just a little bit heavy.
Alex Morgan has scored 6 career goals against Costa Rica. Scores or produces an assist every 68 minutes for the U.S. national team, which is pretty remarkable. Giveaway. Pouring. Lloyd has got a lot of room and space top of the box. Gets chopped down from behind. No call. Shot to save. Off her line to make the save was Denia Diaz. It'll be another corner for the U.S. or no. It'll be a free kick and a yellow card. The foul behind on Lloyd. This is not what you want to see.
And this is one of the concerns you have with that last game. Everyone remembers coming in hard, clearly a yellow. And gosh, in a send-off game like this, you just cringe when you see something like that, because everyone remembers that Abby Wambach tackle against Brazil in the final send-off match where she breaks her leg and doesn't get to go to the Olympics. And as a player, that weighs a little bit on the back of your mind of, I just got to get through this game healthy.
One would expect pure power off this free kick from Carly Lloyd.
She's going to put a little sauce on this one, Cliff.
Lloyd off the free kick. Goes off the wall. And it goes out for a corner for the United States. Quickly coming over to take it, Mallory Pugh, as you look at Carly Lloyd. That ridiculously amazing hat trick in the Women's World Cup final. Her third Olympic roster. Defined by big moments, Carly Lloyd. Crystal Dunn. Warren tried to flick it on. Jill Ellis telling us she expects to use a lot of players here, wants to give everybody a run out here if possible tonight.
Yeah, because it's a steam sauna out there. She's probably wishing she had about 10 subs.
I was feeling very sorry for you for all these pregame hits for ESPN under the hot lights here.
Oh, don't feel sorry for me.
That feels like 106 on the field, and it's cooled off significantly since we've gotten here.
I don't think I could have been able to handle this in my old days, Glenn. I'd have been like, this should be illegal. It's my contract. It's to be under 75 degrees to play.
Will be water breaks here at the 30th and 75th minute here today.
But it's another challenge that the U.S. team has to face. I mean, these are all good little tests of, okay, how are you going to deal with that adversity? Same thing for Costa Rica. They're playing on that same field, same heat. And maybe it's not the style of game they wanted because they can't play as fast as they wanted. They're not going to be able to press as much as they wanted. But I guarantee you it's going to be hot in Manaus.
Yeah, but Manaus today was, I think, a high of 87. So I think Manaus is a cool weather environment that we may be seeing the U.S. head to. Sauerbrunn now. So identifiable here locally. Playing in the NWSL. Crystal Dunn, O'Hara trying to get past her on the right, and does. It's a nice combination play here from these two. It's square back. It's cut out by Costa Rica and cleared. Shirley Cruz spinning, turning. We'll go back to her goalkeeper, Diaz. Plays for Moravia, which is one of the teams that a number of these Costa Rican players are playing for in Costa Rica. So it's a blend of players that play abroad and players that are semi-pro. They've had 2 good solid weeks of training ahead of this game against the U.S. Giveaway, done it tucked in. She wins it in midfield. Pass is cut out. Allie Long now. Julie, maybe expand on the role of Allie Long here tonight in the absence of Morgan Bryant.
Well, Allie Long is going to be the player who sits in that, Jill calls it the number 6 position. So she's that holding defensive mid. Lindsay Horan will hold, but offensively she'll get more forward alongside Carly Lloyd. And really Morgan Bryant would be in where Horan is, and Morgan Bryant would be in where Allie Long is. So, and that's such a key part of the cog of that wheel. And really, the big picture is they haven't had Tobin Heath, Morgan Bryant, Carly Lloyd, all on the field together at the same time. Really the key components of that midfield possession.
Well, that's where it all took off when Morgan Bryan got into the lineup after some yellow card suspensions, and the U.S. went on a roll in the Women's World Cup in Canada. So Morgan Bryan, so vital for what's going to happen in the Olympics. So that's one to keep an eye on with her hamstring injury. But she did train yesterday. Pugh knocks it inside, and she is available today. Carly Lloyd, she's got Dunn on the far side of the field. They may have missed her. Crystal Dunn had made a good run out wide. Morgan wins it back. Horn to Morgan. Klingenberg. Dunn is at the far post. It goes there. It's Crystal Dunn. Banged it. It's 1-0. 15 minutes in. The United States strike first. Confidence building, heading towards Brazil.
Starts with Lindsay, who ran in the midfield there, solving this pressure, getting out of it, finding a gap, and this is a seam that's going to be open a lot for the U.S. if they can play off of it with their outside backs. And mind you, I thought Klingenberg waited a little bit too long, but no one even on Crystal Dunn on that back post, so it didn't matter. But what a great run and ball by Morgan into Klingenberg. And the success of getting those outside backs forward, so hard to track.
14th international goal for Crystal Dunn. Klingenberg seemed like had an eternity to pick her out, and she did. And interestingly enough, Crystal Dunn in her first 13 matches for the United States did not score a goal. Now she has 14 in her 35th appearance here tonight.
And the U.S. just so much better when they're winning balls in their own attacking third. I mean, you look back at the World Cup of last year. I think that was those first 3 games. Carly Lloyd and I were talking about it today, where they were back, they were sitting in, they weren't putting teams on their heels, and they just didn't have that same success. U.S. plays best when they can press and win in transition and get forward off that.
But Julie, how can they do that? Because they've got 3 games in 7 days.
Well, you have to be selective. Yeah, in the old days, you used to try and do it for 90. Now you can't do that. But you got to play with a willingness, because sometimes that also exposes you, a willingness to press, to step, and pick your moments.
Flicked on. Here's Morgan now. She's got a lot of space out wide. She can thrive in this area as well. Pugh has switched with her, has gone into the middle. Still Morgan on her left foot, squares it back, it's clear. Tried to pick out Pugh at the near post. And Las Ticas will clear it, but Alex Morgan show you that she can work in those wide channels as well.
And again, success on the width. And I love the freedom of Alex Morgan just to pop out there instead of just staying in that central zone.
U.S. again into the box. And thrusting herself into the penalty area, Carly Lloyd. These are very valuable minutes of preparation for her. ESPN's presentation of U.S. Soccer is brought to you by Travelocity. Wander wisely. You've been wandering wisely. All over Europe.
I don't know how wisely, but it's fun. Carly was also talking about it earlier. Glenn, you mentioned how she felt fresh. She said, you know, look, I was so sad to miss 10 NWSL games with Houston, but honestly, I needed that break mentally. I haven't felt this good in a long time.
Well, you know, living in Houston, I crossed paths with her a few times, and boy, she was very glassy-eyed. And, you know, Morgan Bryan as well. Both of them, you know, certainly were wearing a little bit of the fatigue on their face.
And that's part of the challenge, and I think a big part of the reason why no reigning World Cup, Women's World Cup champion has ever been able to win the next Olympics the very next year. It's a tight turnaround. There's a lot of demands on that team.
The U.S. will attempt to be the first team in history to do that. Win the Women's World Cup and then Olympics in back-to-back years. And they'll have the #1 goalkeeper in the world to help them do it. Hope Solo. So many big names moving on, Julie. Lauren Holiday, Abby Wambach. No Sydney Leroux. Let's talk a little bit about how this team is different now, how it's a little bit more flexible in the mind of the manager, Jill Ellis.
You lose some of that veteran talent that was so clutch. I mean, you think about all the goals Abby Wambach scored in big moments. But what you gain is this youthful energy, speed, attack, a freshness with Dunn and Pugh and Horan. So I think the challenge is they just don't have that mental stability. They haven't played in Olympics before. They haven't played under that kind of pressure. So what happens when adversity hits or setbacks or they're not playing well? Whereas you knew a Holiday and an Abby Wambach were going to lift up the team. It's going to rely a lot on that one right there, Carly Lloyd. It's another thing we actually talked about today of just being able to make sure mentally they're there for them.
Third member of our team, Monica Gonzalez, has more on the changing style of the U.S.
Well, Glenn, I asked Becky Sauerbrunn how a world champion defensive line gets better for the Olympics. And she said in the World Cup, we felt that we were quite good defensively, only letting in 3 goals. But when we looked back, we saw that we could do more to help the team out in the attack. She said now we try to set players up in front of us in better positions and in better spaces. No better example than what we just saw with Megan Klingenberg to Crystal Dunn.
Thanks, Monica. So Becky Sauerbrunn relaying to us the changes as Monica helped us get some clarity on that. And of course, you know, center backs like Sauerbrunn on the ball right now, you know, they do want to be a part of the buildup.
Yeah, they're good enough to. I mean, they're so calm and confident on the ball. And they have to be. I mean, that's how this game has evolved.
Pugh has broken out of 3 players. Mallory Pugh now with her head up. Got a run from Lloyd. It's still Pugh. Still Pugh. Still Pugh. It goes in. She beats Diaz at the near post. This youngster, she cannot be stopped. Only 18 years of age, Mallory Pugh has picked up goal number 2 for the U.S.
You gotta love how the tendency is not to cut inside and cut back. Instead, Mallory Pugh sees that she has the space. She gets wide. No one steps to her from Costa Rica. And also sees that she can catch that goalkeeper cheating a little bit off that near post, anticipating the cross. And this is an 18-year-old who just turned 18 and plays as a seasoned vet in some of these games. It's been so great to see.
Well, we gave the drum roll in the open for Mallory Pugh, for Crystal Dunn. They both delivered goals here. Boy, their youth and freshness has added so much to this U.S. women's national team. Again, a reminder, there's only 18 on the Olympic roster with 4 alternates. A little different. The World Cup roster, 23 players. And again, group play is over in 7 days. 3 games in 7 days.
Yeah, it's tight. It's really tight. And I think the U.S. has been so successful because 1, it's tight, we're always very fit, and 2, we have the most depth of any team. Go down that bench for the U.S. and the players they can bring in make any coach worry.
Fabiola Villalobos turned 21 today. Plays for Saprissa in Costa Rica. Klingenberg to Ali Long, another one of the great stories making this roster. Ali Long tonight appearing for her 10th time. She's 28 years of age, and it'll be a free kick, Las Ticas.
Ali Long's such a great story too, because here's a player who just never gave up with the dream of making it. Brought in, let go, didn't see any time with the national team, thought it probably had passed her by. She goes and plays in the underground indoor world of New York City in the boroughs with a bunch of men and says, I need to get my game faster. It's such a great story.
Got her first international goal against Colombia a couple of months back. Costa Rica off the free kick. This one driven in, not dealt with well by the U.S., but headed away by Klingenberg. This Granado spinning out of there. Switch of play from Costa Rica now. Melissa Herrera still on it and finally is going to go home. Catherine Alvarado now. Lloyd urging her teammates to move higher up the field. Alvarado has got time to play one over the top. The target was Shirley Cruz, who pushed out of midfield, who has spent some time playing in France, and in fact won 6 French league titles. Morgan to Dunn. Dunn in full flight is going to get there first. What a turn of speed from her. Into the box, going down, not going to get a call. U.S. now trying to pin Costa Rica into their own half of the field.
There's a perfect example of them pressing, realizing they're not going to win it, and dropping and retreating a little bit. And especially with the heat of tonight, just knowing you cannot go 90 like that, of course.
Sauerbrunn to Johnston, what a wonderful partnership in central defense. 2 that play as 1. Of course, we're seeing impressions here tonight from 4 players that did not make the roster to go to the World Cup in Canada. That being Crystal Dunn, Lindsey Horan, Ali Long, and Mallory Pugh. So there are those that we're going to have to contribute in very big ways, and have been throughout this calendar year.
That's a thing. Another thing Jill Ellis has mentioned. It feels like she's going with 22 players, with those alternates being available, training with the team. And you can literally replace a player. I was reading through the late injury replacement policy today. It's fine reading, Glenn, if you want to do it, on the IOC, and they can replace a player up to 3 hours before game for injury and illness, of course, with doctor verification.
Expecting a water break to come into play here in the 30th minute, but there's still plenty of time here for another U.S. goal. All brought down was Morgan off the ball. This one spotted out. It's going to bring out a yellow card. Katja Koroleva, the referee, saw this all the way. And the yellow is going to come to Fabiola Villalobos.
Alex getting through, and that's just bad. You see her grabbing her. Knows that she's in behind her. But a wonderful ball in by Carly, because Alex in on that one.
Alex sitting on 67 career goals. Captains the Orlando Pride in the NWSL as you look at Kelly O'Hara. Sauerbrunn will play a short one. Flip to the far post, the first time volley, not met perfectly. It was a miss hit. Long goes down. It'll be a corner for the United States. Played at Penn State, the University of North Carolina. Plays for Portland in the NWSL. Ali Long. Pugh to take the corner. Drives it in towards the 6. Boy, getting a lot of power on it. But not the accuracy was Horan. She made history as the first female player in the U.S. to sign a professional contract straight out of high school going to France. She's only 22 years of age. Former striker, now turned into a midfielder, Julie.
And a great finisher. Solid at PSG. Seen it some with the national team and, of course, now with Portland. And a player who came onto this senior national team and started playing right away. It wasn't off the bench. It was started on fire. And she's had her ups and downs coming in, but I think that's to be expected with a young player. And with the fatigue and adjusting to playing in the United States and the travel.
Here's Warren, and she's excellent with her back to goal, as any striker would be. This time loses possession, though. Costa Rica just trying to find targets in front of the ball here, and it pushes them back here. The U.S. are settled now defensively. Glenn Davis alongside U.S. soccer gold medalist and World Cup winner Julie Foudy, Monica Gonzalez, the former captain of Mexico, third member of our team. U.S. and Costa Rica here at Children's Mercy Park. This is the final preparation game for the U.S. and then it is off to Brazil. 12 days from now, they'll play their group opener against New Zealand. Tackled away by Klingenberg. Lloyd, Morgan, back to Carly Lloyd now. Look at Pugh, who's streaking to get in front of the ball and provide a target here. And she'll hold the game up. Nice penetrating pass from Klingenberg. Horan goes down, and it'll be a free kick, United States. So it's predetermined water break here now, with the temperatures really soaring here in Kansas City. Here's one of your goal scorers. Temperature at 92, heavy humidity here, and of course they're saying on the field it feels like 106. And fatigue will be an issue for the United States heading into the Olympics. It's one of the concerns around this team, and these players have done a tremendous amount of traveling with their NWSL teams, not to mention with the national team, Julie.
And it's a real concern. It really is, because when you look at the miles logged for these teams, especially when you're on the West Coast, I mean, we did the math on this. Check this out. Portland and Seattle, because there's only two West Coast teams, over 20,000 for both. Portland over 25,000. That's in the last 3 months. And I can tell you, in 2003, when we were playing in the WUSA, and I played on, again, one of the only two West Coast teams, and you were going east every week, I knew that I could not sustain that. I mean, I thought, oh my gosh, there's no way. And you see some of the players that are injured come from the Portland side. Tobin Heath has been struggling getting back from injury. Horan has been talking about being fatigued. Klingenberg has been talking about being fatigued. Those are all the West Coasters. So that is a real concern Jill's trying to address. It's and a reason why she gave him 9 days in between these two games to say, you're going wherever you need to go to rest and, of course, still train, but most importantly, rest, get back.
Yeah, she's talking both about the physical and mental side of it, but there are youthful players that do bring the energy, and tonight, well, Crystal Dunn would get the game's first goal, Julie.
And here she is on that opposite flank, always getting in. No one marking her from Costa Rica, but getting forward. And then, of course, we've seen Pugh do this a couple times. Another player who hasn't been logging the miles, of course, because she's the only non-professional player on this team. And she's 18. She should be able to run all day, but
Well, we love the fact that she relishes running at defenders and has been beating people at will here tonight against Costa Rica. Tomorrow we have 2 International Champions Cup matches starting at 5 a.m. Eastern on ESPN2. We'll have 3-time A-League champions from Australia, Melbourne Victory, taking on the current Serie A champions, Juventus of Italy. Then at 12:30 on ESPN, it's Celtic against reigning Premier League champions Leicester City. So the Foxes getting back to it. Both games available streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. Celtic now being managed by one Brendan Rodgers.
That whole coaching carousel is all very interesting.
Sauerbrunn now will take the free kick. Jill Ellis telling us she's not going to give anything away on set pieces here tonight. And it's a header right at the goalkeeper. And easily handled by Diaz. Morgan got up for that one.
And really, this is a gift. I mean, look how open both Julie Johnston and Alex Morgan are on this. Alex Morgan having a couple good looks tonight. She will look back and hope that she can do better in the Olympics, of course. They're not going to have that time and space in the Olympics, and that is one of the downsides, and no disrespect to Costa Rica, but one of the downsides of a team that's not going to the Olympics is they just haven't been training like they're going to the Olympics, because they're not. Jill Ellis told me it's not for lack of trying to get teams. They've contacted over 25 teams, I think even in the 30s, trying to get them to come out. And to make that trip, of course, before the Olympics is a hard ask for those going to the Olympics. But
Jill Ellis saying she didn't want to reveal her set pieces here tonight, that, quote, we will customize them when we get down to Brazil. She also says we have one eye on the podium and one eye on the future. Again, there's her Group G: New Zealand, France, Colombia.
I'm going to say mostly on the podium. Future can wait right now, 1 week out.
Well, it's happening organically as well, with players moving on and the ability to get the Mallory Pughs of the world and the Crystal Dunns integrated very quickly. Costa Rica off the free kick towards the back post, and it's overhit. Be a goal kick, U.S. 37th minute.
And I applaud Jill for bringing and looking at those players, because a lot of coaches with that tight turnaround with the Victory Tour, and not a lot of chances to change that lineup, because you had to bring in those World Cup winners in the Victory Tour. You didn't have to, but they wanted to, of course, to celebrate them. She was able to integrate some young blood very well.
Carly Lloyd tried to pick out Pugh, who was making the run. The U.S. win it back. Warren with a little touch. Again for Costa Rica is Kristen Granados. Played at Virginia Commonwealth University. There's a few collegiate players, including Raquel Rodriguez, who you and I, Julie, called the NCAA Women's College Cup. Penn State beating Duke 1-0. Rodriguez had the game winner and was also the Herman winner on the women's side as the #1 female player in the nation. Pugh again, like lightning. Whips it into the box. It'll be a corner for the U.S. Boy, you're looking at the future. To the back post. Lloyd is going to get called for the foul there, pushing a Costa Rican defender.
Pugh clearly seeing there's a mismatch on that side, knowing she's going to take on pace. And again, it's the players pressing to win that ball back in the final third. Lindsay Horan and Mallory Pugh doubling up to do that.
Good look at Mallory Pugh, and just has been so exciting since she's gotten into the national team.
I just started thinking about a story she told me, Mallory Pugh, which had me giggling. I'll tell it after.
Into the box of U.S. again. Squared back. Warren was making the run in the box. It was Lloyd to the end line.
Carly logging some miles tonight, getting in behind the defense, getting in line. He said, I need to get those lungs back. I've been training, I feel fit, but I need some game minutes.
Great U.S. contingent behind the goal. The U.S. are attacking here at Children's Mercy Park. This is where essentially it stalls out for Costa Rica because they have limited targets in front of the ball. Everybody's back defending. All the way back to Denia Diaz. She played every single minute at the World Cup in 2015, producing 19 saves. Beautiful work there from Becky Sauerbrunn, the 31-year-old. Here she is again now, initiating the attack to Klingenberg. Nice early ball. Long, Pugh. Make that Baran. Klingenberg steps up. Mallory Pugh now. She's one-on-one. Back to Klingenberg. Nice relationship between those two. Player down in the box for Costa Rica right now. Nobody's seen it, and it'll get clipped in to Diaz, who's going to just knock it into touch. Stay tuned for 2 MLS matches coming up this weekend on ESPN. Tomorrow at 3:45 Eastern, the Portland Timbers taking on the LA Galaxy. That from Providence Park. Portland 3-1 winners over Seattle recently, and then Sunday Sporting Kansas City right here at Children's Mercy Park. They'll take on Seattle at 3 Eastern. Both matches also streaming live, and watch ESPN and the ESPN app.
Both teams wisely going to the sideline, getting water. Back to my Mallory Pugh story, Glenn, that I started giggling about when the team was starting that whole equal pay for equal pay fight in the spring. I said, "Hey, Mal, have you been sitting in on those meetings, listening in, like learning?" I'm thinking, you know, this young kid who's soaking it all in, and she goes, "No, I've been shopping for a prom dress. That's my biggest stress right now." Oh, I laughed so hard.
Had some great conversations with her coach, Lorne Donaldson of Real Colorado, who they work very closely with U.S. Soccer as to what she's doing when she goes back to Real Colorado and plays with her youth team and with her high school team as well. So Mariana Benavides is going to come on here, appearing for her 22nd time.
And Pugh, of course, not going into the professional ranks. There was, of course, the rumor that she was going to go play professionally at a high school, deciding instead to go to UCLA, play with Amanda Cromwell. And there's some debate about whether that's a good idea or not. I actually fall on the camp of I always celebrate kids going to college. And I will always do that. I think it was for the greatest years of my life and many people's lives, and you can find a program that fits and maybe supplement it with whatever you need to, you're going to be fine.
Of course, Julie played at Stanford.
I asked her if she didn't look there. She said no.
Kelly O'Hara's a Stanford grad.
Press. They're all over the place.
Well, there's been some that have been very strong and vocal about saying, hey, she needs to go pro. The question is where? Would it be overseas? Would it be here in the NWSL?
I think it would be here, of course. But and so much of that is up to the player. Look, I wouldn't have been able to go pro. I think I needed that balance. I needed college life. I needed that experience to grow as a human being.
College game still the lifeblood in many, many ways here in the U.S.
I imagine in the second half, Jill Ellis is going to start looking at that bench and saying, okay, I got 6 subs. You can see some of the Costa Ricans warming up down there as well. She knows she wants to get some minutes for a lot of players, and especially some of those injured, as we were saying before, Morgan, Bryan, Tobin, Heath. Work in maybe 15, 20 minutes for those guys. Give them a touch before they head over to the Olympics. Some confidence.
Morgan trying to get turned is just smashed out of there by Costa Rica. Alex Morgan's been very active and mobile here tonight. She is just exceptional at creating space for others with the way she moves.
And I think the U.S. in this first half, they have to be pleased. They didn't maybe put enough away, but they've controlled the game. They dictated the pace. Could have probably finished 1 or 2 more. Not as leggy as they've looked against South Africa and Japan after that 9-day rest. And really in 100-degree heat in this humidity.
It's interesting, Raquel Rodriguez, who's the big star for Costa Rica, is late against the U.S. last line of defense. We barely mentioned her name here in the first half. Cruz will knock it back. Diaz. Good header from Horan. Pugh's ball is off the mark. Rodriguez is trying to get there. Pressing Klingenberg now. Turns back to Hope Solo. Bit of a tricky ball here for Solo, who does well with it. And how about that touch from Carly Lloyd? Spinning out of there beautifully. What a ball from Lloyd here. Morgan, she's in a foot race. Will she get there first? No, Diaz does. She made a commitment to get there and did.
And Diaz kept coming because she came early. How many times have we seen goalkeepers hesitate? She read that early, almost like a second sweeper. Didn't think she was going to quite get there, but good for Diaz for staying committed to that with some pace.
That immaculate control from Carly Lloyd, and then sort of feathers a ball wide enough to almost put Alex Morgan in. Some great goalkeeping there from Dinia Diaz of Costa Rica.
And this is the type of game Carly needs with being out 3 months. Her first start, getting touches, getting in behind.
Lloyd does have a left foot. Shot is deflected. I think that Alex Morgan. Morgan will knock it back to Klingenberg. Klingenberg's right-footed cross. Trying to take it down on her chest was Carly Lloyd. And it'll be a U.S. corner here. Turning into a center forward. Backing it in.
We, of course, saw the success when Jill Ellis made the move at the World Cup to move Carly Lloyd higher. It's paid off in 2016 as well, staying in that higher position.
We are into 5 minutes of stoppage time, a couple of minutes into it. Pugh. O'Hara makes space for herself, gets a good looking cross, and it's steered away by Costa Rica. Klingenberg now flips it right back in. The offside flag is up. Ali Long trying to ghost in behind that last line of the Costa Rica defense.
Both outside backs for the United States. O'Hara on the right, Klingenberg on the ball right there on the left. Clearly offside. Have done a very good job of locking it in, winning that ball. Anytime Costa Rica wins something and tries to clear it, they're there to shut it down, put it back in the box.
U.S. still hungry here. It's Lloyd again. Costa Rica now trying to get a couple of numbers in front of the ball. This is Shirley Cruz, who's been on the ball more than anybody for Costa Rica in this first half, but she ultimately gets stripped. And Long plays it forward here. Dunn has tucked inside. Lloyd. And it's created space for O'Hara. O'Hara in full flight. Morgan in front of her. O'Hara's fouled, and it'll be a free kick U.S. About the only way to stop the U.S. counterattack.
Great first touch by O'Hara. She's scanning, she's looking, continues on, might have been even able to play it in behind.
Been active up and down that right side here today. Was a Herman Trophy winner at Stanford in 2009.
And that's what she brings in the Ali Krieger versus Kelly O'Hara debate on the right side. Is O'Hara's going to give you a little bit more of that attacking presence.
Sauerbrunn drives it in. The header. It's 3-0. Sauerbrunn delivers. Carly Lloyd finishes.
Again, just what Carly Lloyd needed, a little confidence boost coming in here. So good in the air. Attacks this ball perfectly. So hard for a goalkeeper when it's headed down. And really good form by Carly Lloyd to get one tonight.
88th career goal internationally for Carly Lloyd. And with that, the first half will come to an end here. The first half where the U.S. dominates completely. Mallory Pugh picking up goal number 2. Crystal Dunn getting the first one in the 15th to open the scoring. The United States 3-0 lead here at halftime over Costa Rica in Kansas City.